Good. Fine. So welcome everyone to this wonderful section, and I'm very, very grateful for each and every person making time to be part of this leadership series. So basically, leaders of change over the years have been very passionate about developing leadership competence for the youth, especially because we strongly believe that the future of the country or for Africa resides in the hands of the youth. So for this reason, we thought it wise to bring this wonderful edition to you to actually help us all understand some of the things that we need, especially the kind of right mindset that is needed in order to be very effective as a youth in the country. So I would say that my topic today is the mystery of the mind. But first, I would like to iterate that I am a product of many learnings, and also I have for some time immersed myself into learning a lot of competences. But one of the most important areas that I have focused on for so many years is to understand how the mind works. And I believe that most of the lessons that I'm going to share are something that will be very, very beneficial. So I would plead with everyone to actually stay with me to the end of this presentation. And trust me, you will never regret for giving me your time. So my objective today is basically hovering around these three pillars. First, I would like to help you to know how you can change yourself, and also to expose you to some of the keys that you need to develop yourself. And aside that, when you're done developing yourself, and how do you preserve your own growth? So I feel deeply that these are areas that I'm going to touch on. And after this presentation, trust me, your life is going to change. It's a must, because I strongly believe in what I'm about to say and most of the assertions that I'm going to make. So this very picture is a story that I personally experienced, and it's about the mind. So during my postgraduate studies in India, I happened to go into a stable where horses are being kept. So during the process, I got to realize that some of the horses were very huge, like 2 meters, 3 meters, and they are being tied with a very tiny rope. So I kept wondering, how can these huge creatures be limited by this tiny rope to the extent that they don't see the need to even escape, because they could have just taken a step and tear that rope and go, but these horses are bound by the rope. So one of my classmates was right beside me. Her name was Joyce, and she made a very, very profound statement. And she said that actually the rope that I am seeing didn't tie the horse, it actually tied their mind. And that got me wondering.
Sorry to cut you, and we can't see the presentation. We can just see your file. Your files.
Oh, I'm coming. Please, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so what she said was that the rope actually didn't tie the neck of the horses, but it actually tied their brains. So I was very, very moved by her profound statement. And I decided that, well, I want to understand how the mind works. So subsequently, I decided to do a little bit of research. And this story is about an experiment that was conducted between a dog and a leash in their neck, on their neck. So what happened was that they wanted to see how they can condition this dog to the extent that when they put a bone before the dog will not be able to get it. So what these people did was that they tied the dog with a leash, and around the leash, they placed a thorn on it. So anytime the dog tries to make an attempt to pick the bone, it gets hurt by the thorn around the leash. So the dog tried doing that for some time, and it realized that no, anytime it makes an effort, it gets that kind of pain. So after some time, the dog decided not to move again. The next day, they decided to take off the leash around the neck of the dog, thinking the dog will go for the bone. Trust me, the dog never moved because the dog has been conditioned to believe that there is still a leash on its neck. So this for me is no different as to how we Africans are. And I'm very, very passionate about that. But first of all, what are the key points? The key point is that it is not what you are that holds you back. Actually, it is what you think you are not that holds you back. And a lot of us are being limited by what we think we are not, because we have been conditioned to believe that maybe we are not capable. We have been conditioned to believe that we are inferior. We have been conditioned to believe that we can get the good out of life. And that has been one of our major setbacks. The second key point is that if you don't change what is in your mind, you can't change what you are doing. This was a very profound statement by Dr. Otabo, which had been on it's actually a form of, I think, a write-up in our in our messing room back in SS dining hall, where they wrote this profound statement that if you can't change what is in your mind, you can't change what you are doing. And I will delve deeper into this in the subsequent slides. The third one has to do with it is only when you win in your mind that you win in your reality. And this is something that a lot of us don't know. Most at times we are made to believe that if you really want to change something in your life, you need to change it in reality first. But it doesn't work that way. The first step to changing things is to change the mindset. And once you change the mindset, you will be able to attract what you really want to see in reality. So the next slide is about the history of the colonialism that happened and its impact on us. A lot of stories have been told, a lot of articles have been written, a lot of statements have been said concerning the impact of the slave trade on us as Africans. But then I used to question myself, like, is it true that the slave trade was about our natural resources, or it was more about them breaking our spirit? Why am I saying this? Because when you look at a typical African, a typical person, a Ghanaian, you realize that they are comfortable to serve others. But then when given the opportunity to be served, they can't handle it. And this is very, very evident with even our leaders. The second one is that the attitude that we have been adjusted to slavery, that we are so comfortable in oppression. We find it so comfortable when we are being oppressed. You don't see anything wrong with that. And to a large extent, a lot of people have been able to make this external conditioning as their internal destiny. And it is something that has actually affected us. So you will see a lot of people relocating, saying, oh, when they go outside, they will make it, or when they get to this degree or this PhD, they'll be able to, make it in life. But it's not true, because a lot of people have physically relocated. Intellectually, they've been motivated, but spiritually, we are still paralyzed. The narrative is changing, yes, of course, but at what rate? Because our spirit is broken. We have become victims of broken spirit. And for that reason, I deem it fit that it's necessary for us to understand, for us to analyze, this point are something that everyone can bear witness with. One, you realize that we are normally intimidated when a white person walks into our office, most of us, but then we feel comfortable, or we even abuse our own people when they do same. Funny enough, too, we don't believe things will get better. We don't even believe we can try and make things better. So we always say, why should I bother? Why should it be me? If something is going bad, everyone is unconcerned. We are so indifferent. And it's all about how our mindsets have been shaped as a result of the slave trade that actually happened some years back. So the truth of the matter is that actually our spirits have been broken to the extent that even if you have a crown on your head and your mind is still that of a slave, you can't achieve anything to the maximum. So then the question now arises, how do we break away, or how do we overcome this broken spirit that I'm talking about? So the first thing is that you have to always believe that you deserve. And that is the first step to success. It's not about being entitled. It's about believing that you deserve, believing that you matter, believing that you can be a change agent, believing that you can also contribute, believing that you are important. These are the key parameters that will define how your life will be, how you make your decisions, and how you take steps in order to have a very successful life. So then, I'm not trying to be very religious here, but this story about the Tower of Babel has actually caught my attention during my studies. And I believe that there are certain insights here that we can pick that will make our life better. So the story was being told of people, Genesis chapter 11, verse 4. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we will be scattered abroad over the surface of the earth." This statement shows how ambitious human can be, how ambitious people can be, how people have the desire, the inner desire to achieve. This was a proposal that they were making. But the chapter 5 says something beautiful, which I believe that you should capture the essence of it. It says, "Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built." The question is that the chapter 4 is saying that these people were proposing in among themselves, but God saw the construction being done in chapter 5, because when they were speaking, God was seeing a building in their mind. So that gives us a clue that humans are so powerful, and that our mind is so powerful that normally we underestimate how we can achieve great things with our mind. Let's go on. So the key point that I want to highlight to you today is that everything in this life is created twice. First, it is created in your mind, and then it is created in your reality. And so therefore, the cheapest way to change things in this life is actually to change yourself. Why am I saying that? Supposedly, maybe you put on a shirt and you are standing in front of a mirror. If you want to correct something on the shirt, you don't correct it through the mirror. What you have to do is that you first have to correct it on yourself, and then you see the reflection of that on the mirror. That is exactly how the mind operates. So if you want to do something, or if you want to build something or achieve something, first you have to make sure you are winning in your mind, or you have a picture of what you want in your mind first, before you see what you want in reality. So all that I want to say is that, just like the reference that I made concerning the colonialism and the slave trade that had a very powerful, damage to our self-concept and how we think, I want you to understand that if you know that the cheapest way to change things is to change yourself, then the next question is that it is very difficult to change things one by one. And that is how a lot of us get it wrong. People want to be successful. People want to be people of value. People want to command value. People want to be respected. People want to have certain titles and positions. All these things are great. But the real success here is the ability of you to attract those things by changing yourself. So the truth is that you don't go about chasing success. You don't go about saying you want to be this, you want to be that. No, it's very difficult. Imagine you saying, oh, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house. How many years, how many time you waste trying to chase after this one by one? So what you're supposed to do is that you hold on with those things. Change yourself as a person. Develop yourself as a human. Improve upon yourself. Once you improve upon yourself, you will be able to attract the very things that you want. So success is really about changing yourself to attract the things you want rather than chasing after things that you want. And funny enough, the truth is you don't really need a visa to travel to your mind. You have the liberty to think and to think for yourself and to think the kind of future that you want. So another typical example that I think I can actually help you with is that look at it from this perspective. Imagine a child picking up something from a table. It is very, very difficult for a child to pick something from a table that is very higher than the child. But imagine an adult, it's very easy. So you really have to learn how to grow into things. That is very true. You have to learn how to grow into things. It is unwise to reach out to things or to change things that are higher than you. It is unwise. But it is wise for you to grow to that level where it no longer becomes difficult for you to get them. And that is the key. That is the key. The key is that you have to make sure that you grow into that level to get what you want, because life is in level and life is in stages. So the key point here that I want you to pick, which I feel will be very beneficial for you, is that you don't actually need a visa to travel into your mind. But then let me pose this to you. Why is it that sometimes when we remember certain things, you cry? When you imagine certain things, you cry. Have you ever questioned yourself? It's because your imaginations are so real that you feel that what you are imagining can happen, or what you are thinking can happen. So you even cry without even seeing what you are even thinking. So that gives us a clue that repetition attracts a spirit component of whatever it is. So anything that is repeating in your mind, anything that you are passionate about, that keeps occurring to you, it has a spirit component that will be able to manifest if you pursue them. So the spirit component is what will give life to your imagination. That is why you keep thinking of certain things. You keep seeing certain plans that you have, certain dreams that you have, certain visions that you have, and you are so moved by them, even though you've not seen them in your reality. This gives the idea that your imaginations are real. Your imaginations are substance. Like what Job said, he said, what I always feared has happened to me. What I dread has come true, because his imaginations are real. So I want to urge you that whatever you are imagining, whatever you are very passionate about, they are real. Now let me give you some 2 case studies that will help you assess this statement very, very well. Supposedly you give a shirt to a street adult. This doesn't mean I'm trying to demean people or I'm trying to make fun of people, but then for the sake of the example, I beg that you people forgive me for using this, but then I think it will be best to express what I want to portray. So supposedly you give a shirt that you've kept for 2 years so well to a street adult. Trust me, what will happen is that within 2 weeks, you see the shirt so dirty, torn, or very bad. Actually, the shirt you give reflected the mind of the person. The shirt that you gave reflected the mind of the person. So your ability to retain something, your ability to get something, and to lose something is just a reflection of your mind. Some people get things, and within a short while they lose it. It's because their mind has not been able to get to the level where it has been able to understand what they have. And anything that you don't understand, you will lose it. And that is life. Anything you don't understand, you will lose it. The second scenario has to do with a manager in a gate. A lot of times people used to say, oh, the gate man has been staying there for, let's say, 8 hours, 9 hours. For the manager, he will come, spend maybe some few hours in the office and get back. So why is it that the manager is being paid more and the gate man is being paid less? This has been the kind of stories, merry-go-round that people talk about. But far from that, supposedly we put the gate man at the position of the manager, and we put the manager, you kindly help me picture this, and we put the manager at the position of the gate man. What will happen? Two things. The first thing is that nobody will enter into that office again, because the quality and the superior thinking of the man at the gate would stop all the customers there. That is the first thing that will happen. And now the second thing that will happen is that gate man that will be in the office, he will start, oh, hey, I know I won't be here for too long. Now he will start thinking about how to steal the fan, how to take the AC away, how to sell the things in the office. Why would the person do that? Because he would treat his environment as a disease. And that is what most African leaders are actually suffering from. They treat the environment as a disease. So anything that is supposed to bless them becomes a curse. Oh, their mind will start telling him, you are at the wrong place. Oh, you won't be here for long. So you have to do something. So you will see that the mind will alter their behavior to manifest their imagination. The mind will alter the person's behavior to manifest their imagination. So what they imagine, that they won't be here for long, hey, they have to look sharp, as we normally say, will force them to steal. And he will steal everything in that office. So that tells you about the quality of the mind. It's not really about the position though, but how you think. How you think is very important. And it's actually define your path to success or your path to greatness. So now I want to help you with certain keys on how to grow. Because if you want to be a person of value, if you want to have this quality thinking, if you want to change your mind, you first need to grow into that realm. So then I'm using the book of Genesis as the preamble to start with it, because God said that, oh, let us be fruitful and let us multiply. So then in order for us to be fruitful, then it means that we are seedful, because you can't be fruitful if you are not seedful. So look at yourself, picture yourself as a seed now. Picture yourself as a seed that is yet to grow. And come with me with this principle. Trust me, at least one principle will change your life. So now let's go. Every seed needs the right environment to grow. If you put a seed, that's principle number one. If you put a seed under your bed for 20 years, it will remain a seed. So every seed requires an enabling environment to grow. This applies to humans too. We need the right environment to nurture and grow our potential. So many dreams never manifest due to bad environment. A lot of dreams are still in the head of people because of the bad environment. So there are people who have certain associations that don't actually add anything to their lives. So today I want to urge you, if you feel the first principle applies to you, this is the time that you should have the courage to change your friends, especially those who don't contribute positively to your life. Let me give you one wise saying by Swami Vivekananda. He explained the power of association in a very profound way. He said, I quote, "A raindrop from the sky, if it is caught in the hands, it is pure enough for drinking. If it falls in a gutter, its values drop so much that it can't even be used for washing the feet. If it falls on hot surface, it perishes. If it falls on lotus leaf, it shines like a pearl. And finally, if it falls on an oyster, it becomes a pearl." What is it trying to say? He is saying that the drop is the same. Mind you, the drop is the same, but the existence and the wealth depends on who it associates with. So you definitely become the people you associate with. So I want you to apply principle number 1, choose wisely. Choose your friends wisely. Choose the people you work with wisely, the people you talk to, and the kind of things you talk about. The second principle is that every seed must be buried in the ground. That is the principle of isolation. See, most often you need to isolate yourself and learn something new to add value to your life, because every seed needs to be isolated before it becomes a tree. But then the issue we have is that a lot of people fear isolation. A lot of people fear being alone by themselves. And that gives a clear sense of who we are. Because if you are able to value the essence of isolation, you'll be able to remain dead to people's opinion. You'll be able to develop yourself, because most of the things are being built in isolation. Most of the things are being built when no one is seeing. Most of the things, even if you look at gold, how do you get gold? You go deep into the soil to dig it out. Isolation. So most of the things that are valuable are things that you don't really see. So we have to learn how to isolate ourselves and build ourselves little by little. Because in the kingdom of plants, every seed must die. And the death here is talking about self-discipline. The self-discipline to die to certain behaviors, the self-discipline to die to certain bad attitude, and the self-discipline to build yourself. So a tree or a seed becomes a tree until it dies. No seed will become a tree if that seed doesn't die. Now, what is the third principle? The third principle has to do with the death which I've spoken about. The fourth has to do with germinate. When we were children, we started crawling before we started walking. I remember walking lately myself, growing up. And usually my parents support me to walk. I'm saying this because when it comes to personal development, your parents are not responsible for how you look like or how you develop. Actually, they may assist you, give you good education, but to develop yourself as a person of value is your sole responsibility. Well, you have people who would help you, of course, but people will actually help you when you help yourself. When you show that enthusiasm, when you show that zeal that you really want to refine yourself, you really want to move ahead, you really want to take the right steps to become a person of value, that is when you attract people to support you. So I'm saying this because your self-development or growth is your personal responsibility. So the reading habit, your kind of friends you choose, the decisions you have or you take towards life, you hold the keys yourself. And these stages are very critical because you can become anything you decide to be if you make the effort to grow yourself. You can become anything you want to be if you make the effort to grow yourself. So now the fifth principle has to do with the watering period of every seed. So the farmer will water his crop. That simply means that we should also water ourselves for the task ahead. So how do you water yourself? First, you need a plan. A lot of people don't have a plan about how they want their life to be. They don't have a picture of how they want to be or where they want to be in the next 2 years. I'm not even saying plan for 5 years or 10 years. Even short-term plans, a lot of people don't have one. And it is very sad. So the water year for every seed, the farmer has to water it. So your personal growth plan, you must have one. You must attend seminars. You must buy the right books that will help you improve. You must also sharpen your skills by joining maybe associations or organizations that will improve you. And these are sacrifices that you need to make at this stage. Because this stage is when you have to learn how to, spend time with your friends who will help you, or even cut off your sleep to develop yourself. So your effort at this stage should be motivated by the bigger picture you have ahead of you. And that is very important. The seed principle has to do with fertilizer, because the fertilizer that I'm talking about has to do with your inner circle. Inner circle because, see, you have friends, but you have certain friends that actually advise you. They guide you, they correct you, they nurture you. Like they are like, how do I say it? They are like a map in your life. So I would put it this way: always protect yourself from bad people or people who break your spirit. Because remember, we have people who add, subtract, and multiply you and divide you. So it is best to look out for people who add and multiply your life. Any person who would either subtract or divide you, you are supposed to protect yourself from such people. The seventh principle has to do with the sunshine. Every seed needs sun. This has to do with your network. A lot of people say your network is your net worth. Of course, I truly agree. This is social capital. There are certain people that they may not necessarily have the resource, but they can speak for you for things to happen because they have the network. They can connect you. People who have gold don't usually wear gold. To put it in a profound way like that, people who have the gold don't usually put on the gold. So your network is very important, because I've realized that there are people doing nothing and they want you to do nothing with them. A lot of people, they don't do anything and they expect you to be like them, which is very, very sad. So in this principle, you are supposed to know people that you can confide with. You are supposed to know people that seek your good. And it is very hard to find such people. But trust me, if you are able to get even one or two of such people, you are truly blessed. You are truly blessed. So this is the principle that helps us to review our network, review the people that we associate with in order to make good decisions in the future. The eighth one has to do with pruning. And this stage is the most difficult part for most people, because you must have the courage to work effectively in this stage. So this stage is more of cutting off certain people, certain habits, and certain opportunities in your life. Someone will say, why should you cut off certain opportunities? I beg to differ that it's not everything that is good for you. There are certain opportunities, but they are not helpful. They are not always helpful. So you should be able to assess what is good for you, what will add to you, what will contribute to your progress, rather than just going because people are going, doing it because others are doing it. You are supposed to know certain friends that are supposed to stay away or cut them off. This is very important and it's very painful. And a lot of people find it so difficult to do that because a lot of people don't live their true self. Most people live their life to please others. So for them to prune, it becomes so difficult. But the truth being told is that you can always outgrow your friends. You can always outgrow people. So I'm not saying hate people, but know how to attach and detach yourself from people. And that is a key that you need in order to become a person of value. Now, the ninth one has to do with, I'll combine the time and patience. Time and patience, because we, the youth especially, I've realized that most at times we are so entitled and it's a struggle. But then we want to get things quickly. It's just like treating everything as fast food. We treat everything as fast food. We want to get things quickly. We want to get results quickly. But life doesn't work that way. We are not ready to spend time to go through the process. Trust me, you need to have track records in life. You need to have a scar. You need to have certain things that you've done that shows your progress. And a lot of times you don't want to go through that process. So it becomes very challenging for us, forgetting that in everything that we do, we need time to grow. So when a seed is put in the soil, it doesn't automatically grow. It takes time. So all that I want you to understand is that every pain that you are going through, every happiness that comes your way is for a purpose. So don't chase instant success. It doesn't work that way. What you're supposed to do is that you are supposed to work on yourself whilst waiting. See, it's not just about waiting, but what are you doing whilst waiting? That is what matters. So whilst waiting, you can be developing yourself. Whilst waiting, you can be improving upon yourself. Because when opportunity meets you, once you are waiting and you are fully developed, you'll be able to grasp it very well. Than for an opportunity to meet you whilst waiting and you don't have anything to show off, you will lose it because you don't understand it. And whatever you don't understand, you don't seek or you don't seem to benefit from it. Whatever you don't understand, you are going to lose it. So the ninth point, which I've added, the bonus, is that after you've been able to go through this process, you then stand a chance to become a person of value. But I want to make a remark here that if you look critically at a tree, there has never been an instance where any tree in this world has taken its fruits to the market before. I've not seen it anywhere. I've not read it anywhere. I've not witnessed it anywhere. The main reason why I'm telling you this is that when you start bearing fruit, when you become a person of value, people will start coming to you. People will start befriending you. People will start getting attracted to you. But mind you, they are not coming because they like you. It may not necessarily be that they like you. They are coming because of your fruit. So always remember that people may not necessarily like you. They may only love what you do or what you produce. So when all these things are done, the tree stands a chance to stand against any storm. It develops a very strong root, and you see the tree there for so many years. So I'm bringing my presentation to an end by telling you that with these few principles that I've shared, if you are able to apply them in your life, I believe you would have a very, very good future. Thank you very, very much for your time.
We are very grateful for your time.
Ernest,
Boss.
God bless you so much. This is Billy Charles.
Oh, senior.
Another level. Oh, senior.
Oh, yeah.
I'm grateful. I thank God so much for first of all availing yourself to be used by God to help a lot of people, myself and everyone out there. It's amazing. And I realized was too.